So she spent some time working in Central Asia. She was in Astana, and she said it was really an incredible city, really a modern, incredible city. So I think it would be an interesting place. Maybe I'll come and visit you guys one of these days. All right?
That'd be great.
Okay, when we look at Central Asia, we're basically looking at 5 countries. And you can see that the largest country is Kazakhstan. They call these the stands. Have you ever heard of that? They use the word the stands. Kazakhstan.
Country.
Yeah, the countries. Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. These were formerly republics within the Soviet Union. Okay? The Soviet Union was a group of countries, including Russia. And it also included these countries over here. And when you look at the definition of Central Asia, frequently they will add Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. Okay, but we are going to look at Central Asia as 5 countries. Now, these countries, I'm going to go to the next, yeah, let's go to the next.
Is this better or?
Yeah, that's good.
Good? Okay.
So here's the 5 countries that we have. And I put down their population and their population density. So you can see that these countries, if you add up the populations of these 5 countries, it amounts to 68 million people. And if you look at the United Kingdom, one country, small country, it has 65 million people. If you look at the population densities, these are very, very sparsely populated countries. And the population density of the United Kingdom is 5 times as large as the population density here. So this region, very sparsely populated, very few people, and they're not very closely inhabiting places, all right? Why is it important? Why is a region like this important? That's the next question. It's, okay, do you think it's important? You guys think? I won't ask the students from Kazakhstan. How about you guys? Is this an important region?
Are they like connecting between Asia and
Right.
Central?
The reason that it's so important, there's 2 reasons that it's so important, is because of where it's located. Now look at this, what's here?
China.
Okay, what's here?
Russia.
Okay, what's over this way?
Europe.
Europe, the European Union. What's down here? The Middle East. So this used to be, in the old days, it used to be a trade route from Europe to China and India. You have India down here. It was the Silk Road, right? So it was very important. So back in the 19th century, there was a lot of competition to control these countries. And they had a name for that. Is there a place I can use the board if I need to?
The whiteboard,
I use the whiteboard.
we could set up a poster flip chart.
Nah, I think I can just get by. I don't need to do too much. So what they did is they had what they call the Great Game. The Great Game was a competition between the European powers and Russia for dominance in these countries. And the reason they wanted dominance in these countries is they wanted to control the trade route to China and India. So there was a lot of conflict for 50 years. And in fact, that continues today. The Great Game today is really taking place down here in Afghanistan. But still a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition for influence here. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So these countries are very important because of their geographic location as a trade route. And you know, think of, now, we don't really have caravans traveling through these countries. Now, we have pipelines, oil pipelines. We have planes flying over these countries. If you can't fly over Kazakhstan, you have to go either down here or up here. Not a great place to be flying over here. Could be difficult to fly here, so it's important as a transportation route. Okay. What do you think is the other reason that this region is so important? Anybody have an idea?
Oil. Resources.
Oil. Natural resources. Oil is the chief among them, but there are other natural resources that are abundant in this region. So there's a lot of competition for influence here. Well, these are small countries. On their own, they have difficulty to deal with the influences they're getting from China, from Russia, from Iran, from the European Union. But when they band together, they have much more influence, much more ability to deal with these other countries. Okay, so what they've done is, okay, this is why they cooperate. Okay, they all came from the Soviet Union. They're a crossroads. I think that's what Rebecca said, right? They're a crossroads. That's where everybody wants to channel their oil. They want to fly. They want to have trade going through these countries. But they're also rich in natural resources, okay? And they have a lot of transboundary problems. Okay, a transboundary problem is a problem that, to solve it if you want to solve a problem in Kazakhstan, you must also look at that problem in Uzbekistan or Tajikistan or Kyrgyzstan or Turkmenistan. Okay. So I just got a list of the regional institutions, and I was amazed at how many regional institutions these 5 countries are involved with. So I broke them up into 3 groups, I think. So the first are, these countries have banded together. So these are led by the 5 countries. And you can see, here's one, which is an Central Asian Economic Cooperation institution with 4 countries. Here's one to save the Aral Sea. And I think our students from Timor will talk about the Aral Sea. It's a source of water and a source of livelihood and a source of transportation. So they band together to try to save the Aral Sea. Okay, here's the other one, is they have declared themselves a nuclear-free zone. No nuclear weapons in this area. Given their neighbors between Russia, China, Iran, etc., it's good that this area is able to do that. Okay, the next institutions I have are what I call Russia-led organizations. So, as I think I mentioned in either the write-up or in yesterday's session, other countries are trying to be influential, and the main one here is Russia. Previously, these countries were part of the Soviet Union. They were a republic with Russia, so Russia has a lot of influence here. So we have some things like the Commonwealth of Independent States. We've got collective security organizations, economic communities with Russia, customs union. Everybody know what a customs union is? Who knows what a customs union is outside of Kazakhstan? Customs union. Any idea? A customs union is a union of countries that use the same standards for importing and exporting
Euro.
goods. They don't use it for currency. They just use it for imports and exports of goods. So they have standards. They say if you meet the standard of the region, then you have free transport of goods across borders. Okay? And then they have things like the Eurasian Development Bank. Right? So remember I told you yesterday I worked for the Asian Development Bank. We also talked about the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank, the World Bank. Well, this is a much smaller one, but this is a bank which is capitalized by these countries. All right, the next group is what I call China-led organizations. The other country that is vying for influence is China. And the last group are trans-regional organizations. So these are organizations where the countries of Central Asia are members, but the membership is much larger than them. So you can see in the INOGATE, there's EU countries plus all of these others. So these, a lot of these are countries, organizations where the EU is also involved. So you have a lot of organizations that these 5 countries are very much involved with. The last one is called the One Belt, One Road Initiative. Okay, has anyone ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is an initiative led by China. And what it is investment from China into this region to build up the transport network, primarily. Okay? And this is a huge, huge initiative. It's extremely controversial, but it's very large. Okay? And maybe our students will talk about that. So you can see that this is a very important region. And when you look at the map of this region, which country, another thing that happens in every region is one country tends to dominate. So which country do you think dominates this region? Okay?
Thank you.
You'll see this, by the way, when we look at other regions. There will always be contests for domination in these regions. Here, Kazakhstan is so much larger and has so many more resources that it's less competition. But when you get to the Middle East, whoa. And I think we'll be looking at, we're not going to do Turkey, I understand, because the students won't be coming.
It's not certain yet.
Oh, it's not certain yet.
They're still planning to come.
But we have Fahad from Qatar, so we could do Qatar, and we could look at the rivalry in the region for control. But here it's very easy, it's Kazakhstan. And we are very fortunate in that we have some experts from Kazakhstan right in the IPAM class. And what they're going to do is, using a lot of the principles that I talked about with you yesterday, the economics, the demographics, the governance issues, they will tell us about Kazakhstan. Now, during this presentation, we have an hour and a half. What I would like to propose is, during the presentation, if any of you would like to ask them questions, based on what we talked about yesterday, I would like to propose that you just put your hand up and ask them questions, all right? I will do the same. Joyce could do the same. But we'll have a dialogue. It won't be a presentation and then after the presentation you can respond. No. But it's a dialogue. So feel free to raise a question at any time. I will raise a question or two as well. Okay? Yeah?
And I'm going to interrupt in the middle of the presentation for a 10-minute break.
That's right. You're going to give us a break. Okay. That's very presidential. Okay. All right, so why don't we have our experts from Kazakhstan begin the presentation and tell us about Kazakhstan.
What's going through?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.